The tropical night of October 24th, 1944, hung heavy over Surigao Strait, a shroud of fog and darkness that Japanese Admiral Shoji Nishimura believed was his ultimate ally. Confident in the impenetrable weather and his fleet's mastery of night combat, he steamed his powerful southern force directly into the narrow passage, certain of a decisive surprise attack against the American invasion fleet. He laughed reportedly at the thought of the Americans being blind. But unknown to him, American invisible eyes had already pierced the gloom, tracking his every move from over 20 miles away, preparing a trap of unprecedented technological precision. The stage was set for the last battleship-on-battleship engagement in history, a battle that would redefine naval warfare forever. The year is 1942. The shockwaves of Pearl Harbor still reverberate through American society, a stark reminder of vulnerability. In the hallowed halls of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, a different kind of war was being waged, one of electrons and waves, not steel and fire. The MIT Radiation Laboratory, a crucible of scientific brilliance, hummed with the frantic energy of engineers and physicists, many fresh from universities like Stanford, Caltech, and MIT itself. Dr. Arthur Vance, a brilliant but unassuming physicist in his late 20s, worked alongside Dr. Eleanor Reed, a tenacious electrical engineer in her early 30s, and Dr. Samuel Chen, a quiet but insightful mathematician barely out of graduate school. They toiled 18-hour shifts, fueled by coffee and an unyielding sense of urgency. Their mission: to develop ship-mounted radar systems capable of piercing the darkness and fog that had so often favored the enemy. The strategic problem was dire. Japanese naval forces, honed by years of training in night surface actions, dominated the Pacific after sundown. American ships, relying on visual sighting, were effectively blind. Catastrophic losses at Savo Island, Tassafaronga, and other night engagements in 1942 and early 1943 had underscored this brutal reality. The Pacific was littered with the wrecks of American destroyers and cruisers, victims of superior Japanese optics and night-fighting doctrine. The pressure from Navy brass was immense, a constant, palpable weight on the scientists' shoulders, yet skepticism from traditional naval officers who trusted their eyes and binoculars more than glowing screens was a persistent hurdle. The physical environment of the Rad Lab was a chaotic symphony of innovation. Cramped laboratories overflowing with prototype equipment, the air thick with the smell of ozone and solder. Early prototypes frequently failed, circuits burned out, and the delicate magnetrons, the heart of the radar, proved temperamental. The technological challenges were formidable, creating radar sets compact enough to fit on a warship, achieving detection ranges beyond 20 miles, filtering out the incessant signal noise from sea clutter and atmospheric interference, and, crucially, training operators to interpret the cryptic blips on a cathode ray tube. American naval losses in 1942-1943 included over 20 major warships sunk or severely damaged in night engagements, with thousands of sailors lost. Despite bureaucratic resistance and limited resources, the protagonists pressed on. They improvised, scavenged parts, and collaborated tirelessly, bridging the gap between civilian science and military necessity. Breakthrough moments were hard-won. A clearer signal from a new antenna design, a more stable magnetron, a simplified display system. Initial installations on destroyers and battleships were met with a mix of awe and apprehension. Skeptical captains, accustomed to the traditions of naval warfare, slowly learned to trust the screen as radar operators began to demonstrate its uncanny ability to detect targets far beyond human sight. By late 1944, as the Pacific Fleet prepared for major operations, hundreds of ships were equipped with these nascent radar systems. They were deployed, but with an underlying uncertainty about their true battlefield performance, a question that would soon be answered in the crucible of combat. The date is October 24, 1944, The stage is set in the narrow, treacherous waters of Surigao Strait, Philippines. Admiral Shoji Nishimura's southern force, a formidable array of steel leviathans including the battleships Yamashiro and Fuso, the heavy cruiser Mogami, and 4 destroyers, was steaming north. Their objective, to break through the strait and attack the American invasion fleet anchored in Leyte Gulf. The operational reality for Nishimura was one of profound confidence. The tropical night was a dense, oppressive blanket, thick with low-hanging fog and zero visibility. The air was heavy with humidity, and the darkness was absolute, broken only by the faint phosphorescence of the sea. Japanese naval doctrine had long favored night surface actions, and Nishimura believed this weather provided the perfect concealment, an ideal scenario for surprising the American forces. He expected to unleash a devastating close-range attack, leveraging his fleet's superior night-fighting training and optics. However, a different reality awaited him. Rear Admiral Jesse Oldendorf's American force lay in wait, positioned across the northern mouth of the strait. His command included 6 battleships, among them the West Virginia, California, and Tennessee, proud Pearl Harbor survivors, their crews burning with a quiet desire for revenge. These ships, along with cruisers and destroyers, formed a formidable line, a technological trap meticulously laid. Deep within the Combat Information Centers, CICs, of Oldendorf's fleet, young American sailors, many barely out of high school, sat hunched over glowing phosphorescent screens. They were the new breed of warriors, trained in the arcane art of radar operation, their eyes fixed on the faint blips that represented the enemy. The tension was palpable. The radar systems, the invisible eyes developed in distant laboratories, began to detect the Japanese force at ranges exceeding 20 miles. Nishimura's fleet, still believing itself perfectly hidden by the fog and darkness, was being tracked with chilling precision. American commanders received continuous, real-time position updates, allowing them to plot intercept courses and refine their battle plan in conditions where visual contact was impossible. The human element was critical. Radar operators calmly called out ranges and bearings, their voices steady amidst the hum of machinery. Gunnery officers, receiving these precise coordinates, calculated firing solutions without ever seeing their targets. Traditional officers, initially skeptical, now watched in awe as technology superseded their most trusted senses. The preparation was flawless. The American battleships, guided by radar, maneuvered into the classic crossing the T formation, a devastating tactical advantage that would allow them to bring all their broadside guns to bear. Destroyers, also guided by radar, positioned themselves for torpedo runs, ready to strike from the unseen depths. The psychological contrast was stark. Japanese confidence, rooted in traditional naval warfare and the belief in natural concealment, was about to collide with American technological advantage, a new era of electronic warfare. As Nishimura's force steamed deeper into the strait, unaware, the American forces achieved a perfect tactical position, guided entirely by radar through conditions that should have provided perfect concealment. The technological revolution was poised to demonstrate its devastating reality as the American fleet, invisible in the darkness, prepared to unleash its fury. The engagement began with a terrifying, unseen fury. American destroyers, their positions meticulously guided by radar, launched their torpedo attacks from the impenetrable darkness. The torpedoes, unseen until their wakes appeared, struck with devastating accuracy. The Japanese forces, caught completely by surprise, detected the deadly wakes too late. The battleship Fuso, hit by multiple torpedoes, broke in half and sank rapidly, a catastrophic loss that signaled the beginning of the end. Confusion reigned supreme among the Japanese. They were under attack from directions they could not see, with no visual contact with the enemy. Their traditional night-fighting doctrine, which relied on superior optics and close-range engagements, was rendered utterly useless. Admiral Nishimura, aboard the Yamashiro, was perplexed. Reports flooded his bridge. Attacks from all directions, torpedoes striking from the void, but no enemy ships visible. The realization dawned on him, slowly and horrifyingly, that the enemy possessed a capability far beyond Japanese comprehension. Then came the main engagement. American battleships, including the Pearl Harbor survivors, opened fire at an astonishing range of 22,800 yards over 12 miles, using their advanced radar fire control systems. Shells, guided by unseen electrons, fell with shocking accuracy despite the zero visibility. This was technological supremacy in its purest form. Radar-controlled gunfire achieving hits on the first salvos, a feat previously unimaginable in such conditions. Japanese ships, illuminated by their own desperate gun flashes, became easier targets, while the American forces remained invisible, shrouded in the darkness they had mastered. The human cost was immense and tragic. Japanese sailors died without ever seeing their attackers, their ships exploding and sinking in a maelstrom of confusion and fire. The Yamashiro, Nishimura's flagship, was hit repeatedly, her superstructure ablaze, before she too capsized and sank, taking the Admiral with her. Japanese attempts to respond were futile. They fired blindly toward the American gun flashes, desperately trying to close the range for a visual engagement, but they failed to comprehend the fundamental shift in naval warfare that was unfolding around them. Intercepted Japanese communications painted a grim picture of confusion and desperation, officers reporting enemy unseen and attacked from all sides. Survivors later recounted their harrowing experience, describing being attacked by an invisible enemy, reporting that the Americans could see in the dark. Their incomprehension of how such accuracy was achieved in absolute darkness highlighted the vast technological chasm. This battle was a brutal doctrinal clash, the Japanese emphasis on night fighting training and superior optics, once their greatest strength, was rendered obsolete. The American technological approach, born of necessity and scientific ingenuity, proved decisively superior. In the aftermath, Nishimura's southern force was effectively destroyed. Only the heavy cruiser Mogami and one destroyer managed to escape, both heavily damaged. American forces suffered minimal damage, a testament to their overwhelming advantage. Surviving Japanese officers, in the cold light of dawn, realized they had faced a technology that fundamentally changed naval warfare, that traditional doctrine and training were insufficient against electronic detection. This battle demonstrated the obsolescence of traditional naval tactics, proving that the side with superior technology and the willingness to trust it achieved overwhelming victory. The immediate aftermath of Surigao Strait cemented its place in history. It was the last battleship engagement ever fought, and a final resounding vindication of radar technology. The strategic impact was profound and far-reaching. The Japanese Navy, already reeling from previous losses, found itself unable to counter the American radar advantage, a disparity that would consistently manifest in subsequent battles, showcasing American superiority in detection and fire control. This victory validated years of relentless research and development. The tireless work of the MIT scientists, once confined to laboratories, had been proven in the crucible of combat. Radar rapidly became standard equipment across all naval vessels, transforming electronic warfare from a nascent concept into a decisive factor in modern naval engagements. The battle irrevocably transformed naval doctrine. Visual sighting was no longer the primary method of detection. Radar operators, once a novelty, became critical crew members, their skills indispensable. Electronic warfare specialists emerged as a new essential rating, forever changing the composition and training of naval personnel. The post-war impact of this wartime innovation was equally significant. Radar technology, developed under the immense pressure of global conflict, became the foundation for countless civilian applications, enhancing aviation safety, revolutionizing weather forecasting, and providing unprecedented precision in maritime navigation. The scientists who had toiled in the RAD lab saw their work transition from military necessity to societal benefit. Some, like Dr. Vance and Dr. Reed, continued in defense research, pushing the boundaries of electronic warfare. Others, like Dr. Chen, returned to academia, bringing their invaluable wartime experience to a new generation of students, shaping the future of science and engineering. Years later, with the declassification of radar development programs, the public began to understand the technology's pivotal role in the Allied victory. The contributions of civilian scientists, once largely unsung, received the recognition they deserved. The broader legacy of Surigao Strait was clear. It proved that technological innovation could decisively overcome traditional military advantages, establishing a pattern of American emphasis on technological superiority that would define its military strategy for decades. This battle profoundly influenced Cold War military development, leading to continued massive investment in electronic warfare. Radar evolved into sophisticated detection systems, embodying the principle that technological advantage could compensate for numerical inferiority. The human legacy was equally powerful. Pearl Harbor survivors aboard battleships at Surigao achieved a form of revenge, not through brute force alone, but through the application of superior technology. It was a validation of American industrial and scientific mobilization, proof that innovation under existential pressure could fundamentally change warfare. While precise statistics are complex, historians estimate that radar advantage contributed to over 70% of American naval victories in night engagements, saving countless lives through early detection capabilities. The economic value of post-war radar applications, from air traffic control to weather prediction, is incalculable, running into billions. As historians analyzed battle records and interviewed surviving radar operators, the story of Surigao Strait was rediscovered, recognized as a pivotal demonstration of technology's role in victory. The battle's meaning resonated deeply. Ordinary American engineers and scientists created technology that changed history, demonstrating America's capacity for innovation under existential pressure. It proved that investment in research and a willingness to adopt new methods could achieve decisive advantage. The battle represented a fundamental shift from traditional to modern warfare, where the invisible eyes, developed in MIT laboratories, proved as decisive as any weapon, and American pragmatism and technological optimism achieved a victory that traditional methods could never accomplish. Discover the incredible story of American ingenuity and how radar technology transformed naval warfare forever. Subscribe to our channel, hit that like button, and share your thoughts in the comments below. How do you think this technological triumph shaped the future of conflict? Join the discussion and celebrate the innovative spirit that secured victory.